What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down what's moving it, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoundHound's down 0.53%, 1096 the low, 1127 the high, but very low volume. So 4.4 million shares being traded, 31.3 is the average. So ultimately, what's causing all of this volatility is because of the data. So even during my pre-market video, which I do every single morning under Financial Journey, so pop over there and subscribe. But I even mentioned that there was going to be a sell-off, temporary sell-off before things get bought up. And it's all because of this. So we did have a lot of negative data. So mortgage applications, mortgage market index, and also the big one for today, ADP employment, which came in at negative 32,000. Forecast was 15,000. So not great whatsoever, but all of this is going to justify a rate cut, in my opinion. It's just the market's torn, right? Because the market always wants somewhat negative data, not really horrifically bad. And regrettably, this ADP is very, very bad. So there's a fine line between recessionary fears and kind of enough fear to justify a rate cut. Hopefully that does make sense. But nonetheless, because of this data, market's kind of freaking out a little bit, but again, that's going to further justify a rate cut. So right now there is a 88.8% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. I do feel like by the end of today or even this week more so, this will be at 100%. So that's kind of a good thing. But associated to SoundHound, there really hasn't been that much. So I already did a video talking about this one. So the Parkopedia, which was okay news. I feel like there definitely does need to be some demos about that in order for a lot of people to get behind it. But one of my biggest complaints about SoundHound is that they are very safe. I think generally they're in a sector that's going to continue to expand, but they have really toned it down on their expansion. So they're playing it safe. And again, sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing. But one analyst that I know Wall Street really does respect is Daniel Ives. And ever since their last two earnings, in fact, he failed to give a rating. So Daniel Ives, who has a 54% success rating, very well known for calling Palantir early on, and he gave initially, I think it was like a $24 price target when SoundHound was roughly around this price point. So he kind of called that, but he recently did lower it and hasn't really changed or budged from that $15 buy rating. There was a update that just came out, so from his ETF. So he did launch a ETF kind of comprising of 30 very disruptive, innovative stocks that he likes. And so again, that was a good thing, right? Adds liquidity for SoundHound. And plus, in general, it kind of puts SoundHound on a pedestal a little bit. But based on this, it does show some changes. So Wedbush has added CoreWeave, iRen, and whatever, Shopify, and removed SoundHound, ServiceNow, and Salesforce. So this is, in my opinion, a kind of an extension of what management has been doing. Clearly, I think SoundHound's still going to do a lot of good things, but they are playing it too safe for even Daniel Ives. So this is something that I feel management really needs to do and kind of do it fast, right? Because I think just generally the sector is getting hit quite hard, and anything with a fairly high multiple is getting punished by and targeted by shorts. This is why you are seeing right now 30.78% of the free floats being shorted. So that is crazy, crazy stuff. At the time of doing this video, shorts are increasing 340,000 shares, 116.58 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average 1.64. That's an annual rate, not a daily rate. And DTC is starting to inch back up. It did look like it had a bottom of about 1.72 days, currently at 2.27. So that does signal that shorts are overextended. At the same time, DTC does factor in the average volume in comparison to number of shares being shorted. So shorts are definitely targeting a lot of high multiple stocks, and SoundHound meets that criteria. I myself, I do believe in SoundHound, and I know just generally the sector is going to explode over the next like several quarters, and SoundHound as a byproduct is going to piggyback largely off of that. Hopefully they get a little bit more aggressive with, let's say, their kind of acquisitions and just kind of desire to get more customers and branch out. I think that's kind of a big thing as well. But I've been selling a lot of puts, and so I've been getting more and more shares. So yeah, let me know your general thoughts on that. But when it comes down to the options, 516,000 in calls, 266,000 in puts. So not kind of crazy volume right now, which does match with somewhat the common stock, but 44% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see consensus for it to be roughly around 12, and then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub $11. So I think SoundHound, just based on its volatility, is a good candidate to do the options wheel. So for those of you that don't know what that is, take the time to research that, because I think, again, you can make some pretty good money by just selling options. And so you initially start by selling puts until you eventually get the actual stock, and then you start selling covered calls on that. That's one thing I've been doing, and I sell weekly options on SoundHound, and it's been working very, very well. So let me know your viewpoint and what you've been doing with SoundHound. But aside from that, these are all the transactions occurring so far on the secondary market above $100,000. So somewhat evenly divided. So you have 3 buys, looks like pretty much all right after the bell, and then 4 sells. So algorithmic trading is really adding that certain level of suppression alongside shorts. So AI is kind of moving stocks lower because of, again, this data and how Wall Street's initially interpreting this. But as per usual, the market always has a epiphany in the second half of the day, where typically people say, hey, you know what, this isn't that bad, we're gonna get a rate cut, and things will start moving higher. So that should come, like I said, in the second half of today. These are some of the transactions occurring on the dark pool. Given how active shorts are, it is fair to assume that majority of these are linked to them. So again, something to keep in mind. Right now with it at 11.15, it is trading between this S2 and this S3. So 10.92 is going to be that next strong support. 11.28 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. So again, it's trading between this S2 and this S3. So in comparison to a lot of other growth stocks, SoundHound definitely is lagging. So let me know your viewpoint on that. And on a side note, I know I kind of brought up Daniel Ives, but we also haven't received any kind of crazy ratings lately. Last one was done by D.A. Davidson. Gil, who has a 54% success rating, gave a 17 as a consensus. 1720 is that price target, representing a 54.26% upside. If you want access to all of this information, so analyst forecasts, ownership, everything under the sun, take a look at IBKR, link in the description below and also the comments for all of it to be completely free. Plus, I really recommend everyone at this day and age to have one broker that has access to overnight trading. I think that's kind of a must now, and I definitely recommend IBKR. But aside from all of that fun stuff, quickly popping over to the chart, things aren't looking that great. I think there was a lot of optimism, so it was really pounding at that 200-day moving average for almost like 5 consecutive days. And as per usual, any other stock that kind of goes through that, bouncing off of either a support or resistance point, you go through a certain level of consolidation. So that's kind of what is happening, but it definitely does need to stay above that 1035. If not, you're going to see a little bit of a free fall. But looking at the market position right now, you see some willing buyers right here, but pretty much it's only extended up to around that 1094. So nothing really crazy or concrete. Flip side, if let's say the market does decide that, hey, it's time to move higher, you could see a nice push to around that 1150. So that's kind of the extension for the short-term stuff. This, from the flow, you can see that there is a lot of algorithmic trading really moving SoundHound. But aside from kind of that news, Daniel Ives related, that I did bring up, there really hasn't been that much in articles worthwhile to kind of talk about. No new analyst ratings or anything, so it's just been at the mercy of the broader market. So let me know your general thoughts on SoundHound. I know I did bring up quite a few different things, but as per usual, there's a lot of different things that influences a stock at any one time. So again, this is some of the things that's kind of affecting SoundHound. So give yourself a shout out if you've been buying. But one final thing, if you are looking for some solid on-point buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, pop over to my Patreon, put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.